Here again with another UFC predictions video as we have UFC 294 taking place on Saturday, October 21st at 1 p.m. Central Time due to the fact that they're in Abu Dhabi. Just going to give my predictions for the main card, and remember, as always, that the card is subject to change. Before I give my predictions, though, just a few things. If you're a fan of the UFC and like fight reaction and prediction videos and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider hammer fisting that like button to show your support for the channel. Share the video with anybody you know. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about what your thoughts are on UFC 294 or anything else UFC in general. Who are you predicting to win during this main card? And any fight reactions that you want me to do, for sure. I'll do at least 3 for this card. And about an hour to an hour and a half after the card's over with, come back to the channel. I'll post my reaction for the most popular fight, probably the main event of the evening, although sometimes, doesn't happen very often, but like 3 to 5 fights a year will get copyrighted, or a copyright strike, so I have to wait like a few days to post that fight, but doesn't happen often, but it can happen. So if that happens, what I'll do is I'll just pivot to the next biggest outcome or the next biggest fight. And of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel. You're watching the video anyway, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. So kicking things off in the UFC Bantamweight division, we have a banger in my opinion. A fight that not a lot of people know about these guys, but it's going to be Said Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov. Gafurov is like the bantamweight version of Michael Chandler. He can do a little bit of everything. He swings wild, he throws good kicks, and occasionally he'll go for a takedown. But it's wild chaos by this guy against Said Nurmagomedov, who's more calculated, does spinning attacks like spinning elbows, spinning back fists, and spinning kicks. It's going to be a fun fight. It very well could be fight of the night. Gafurov in his last fight was really good. He got rocked a little bit in the first round, so that probably gave the other guy the first round against the sexy Mexi guy. And then he did he lunged with his head and got a point deducted in the second round by Chris Taioni. And he got taken down in the third round. But the guy is crazy, and it should be a candidate for fight of the night, especially if the fight goes a couple rounds. I'm going to pick Nurmagomedov because he's a good striker, and he's not a guy that's going to, get you down and try to, ground and pound on you. He strikes with precision from what I've seen, although I haven't seen a lot of fights from these guys. Gafurov I've only seen 1 fight, or Nurmagomedov I've seen 3. So I'm going to go with Nurmagomedov. It could go either way, especially if Gafurov goes crazy, which very well could happen, but I'm going to pick Said Nurmagomedov to win the fight. Next up in the UFC middleweight division, we have Warlley Alves versus Ikram Aliskerov. Aliskerov is a big prospect for the UFC, although he's 30 years old now. Prospects, in my opinion, should be like 25, 26. He's already 30. He's had 1 fight in the UFC, a knockout, with just like a kind of like a crazy quick knockout that like you didn't see coming. It was kind of like a delayed reaction. And Alves, his biggest claim to fame, in my opinion, is when he choked out Colby Covington to give Colby Covington his first loss. But it looks like Alves is kind of on his way out. I mean, he's got good jiu-jitsu, he's got good submissions, but he's lost like, 6 out of his last 10 fights or something like that. So I'm going to pick Aliskerov to win this fight. I'm not exactly sure how, but this is going to cement cement him as being a contender for the middleweight division. But, anything can happen, but I think Aliskerov is a huge favorite, in my opinion, but who knows? You may disagree with me, but that's my opinion. Next up in the light heavyweight division, we have Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Now, I'm not a big fan of Ankalaev. Johnny Walker, I really want to win this fight. And I actually think Johnny Walker can win this fight, which I don't know what the betting line is for this. I don't look at that stuff, especially if ESPN doesn't tell me what it is, then I'm not going to go out of my way to look it up on like DraftKings or anything like that. But I think Johnny Walker, he's got a very big reach advantage. And in the fight with Ankalaev versus Blachowicz, the leg kicks were really getting to Ankalaev. So if Johnny Walker can stay out of the way and just keep kicking Ankalaev's leg and just keep kicking him, keep kicking him, keep kicking him. Now, I don't know how good his defense is right now for takedowns. If he can avoid, if he can keep the fight standing, which Ankalaev will stand with you for a few rounds at least, or if he gets in danger, he'll go for a takedown. If he can keep the fight on the feet, which is a hard thing to do for 3 rounds against Ankalaev, I really think Johnny Walker has a chance to win this. And actually, I'm going to surprise everybody and actually pick Johnny Walker to win this fight. I know he's been beaten before, brutally knocked out a few times, but I just have a feeling for somehow, some way, the size advantage, although Ankalaev is 6'3", so it's not like he's way taller, although Johnny Walker is 6'6", but I just feel like Johnny Walker has a chance to win with that 82-inch reach advantage, and maybe he'll get him with a flying knee or like a spinning attack or something like that. But I'm going to pick Johnny Walker and probably be upset when Ankalaev wins the fight, but I don't know. I just see it coming. That's all I got to say, and I don't know what the betting line is for that one. Next up, the co-main event of the evening in the middleweight division. We have the former UFC welterweight champion of the world, Kamaru Usman, as a late replacement, taking on the phenom of sorts, Khamzat Chimaev. Now, initially I thought because of the big size advantage that Chimaev was going to wipe the floor with Usman. I do think Chimaev's going to win this fight, but it's very, very possible that this fight could be a lot closer than what people think. Look at what Gilbert Burns did against Khamzat Chimaev. That was a very close fight, and that fight could have went either way. Khamzat had the bigger moments, but Gilbert Burns had moments of his own, and Kamaru Usman's a good fighter. If he can land some jabs and just keep jabbing, you never know what can happen. I'm going to pick Chimaev to win, but I feel like Usman is being overlooked here, but I can't pick Usman against this monster of a man that's good in every area, at least that we've seen so far in the octagon. But it should be a good one. I'm glad this fight's happening, although I wanted to see Costa fight Chimaev, but that's not going to happen. And Costa likes to get out of fights at the last second here, so we'll see what happens, but I am picking Khamzat Chimaev to win the fight. And in the main event of the evening for the lightweight championship of the world, we have the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski facing the lightweight champion Islam Makhachev for their second encounter. A late replacement of Charles Oliveira got a cut, and they didn't do it the right way. They didn't fix it the right way. They should have went to a plastic surgeon like Dana White said. And now Oliveira is out, Volkanovski's in, and I'm conflicted on where to go. I know the fight has been taken on a short notice, and Volkanovski's coming off of hand surgery. I don't know what his status is. Obviously, he's good enough to fight, but I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how long he's been training for. I have a feeling that Volkanovski's been training for a month-ish. Maybe not hard, but he's been training for a month, and he can use that first fight against Makhachev that he fought him on to kind of look at where the areas that Makhachev was not immortal at. Like, Makhachev did not look elite in the last fight. He had moments where he looked good, but like the wrestling, it's like Makhachev got him down and then would just, do little things, but Volkanovski's like, okay, that's all you got? Well, I can hit you like that while you're trying to do a choke to me. Like, it didn't have any effect on Volkanovski. And then obviously the last, minute of the fight, or was it 30 seconds left of the fight, where Volkanovski knocks Makhachev down and starts grounding, pounding him. I think if that fight would have went 10 to 15 extra seconds, Volkanovski would have been the champ and the lightweight champion of the world. So, with all those factors, I think Makhachev is going to be better in this fight. I think. He was training for Charles Oliveira. He dominated Charles Oliveira the first time. And I don't know what things he's going to do in this fight against Volkanovski that he didn't do in the first fight. I don't know. We've been told we're going to get a better Islam in this fight. Volkanovski's a dog. This guy is a dog. He's taking a fight on a little over a week's notice is pretty crazy. So I am very conflicted on who to pick for this fight, just due to the fact that the first fight, I think he's going to come in with even a better game plan, which he said that if he when he was more aggressive, it was working against Makhachev. I'm going to pick Alexander Volkanovski to shock the world, although I don't know if it's as shocking as it would be when Sean Strickland beats Israel Adesanya. But I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski to win the fight and become the lightweight champion of the world. It could go either way. I'm not necessarily picking with my heart here because Volkanovski's he's one of my favorite fighters, but it's toward like the 10 to 15 range of fighters that are in the UFC. But I just have a feeling, especially with just all the factors in it, Islam will probably win, and I'll probably be upset that I picked people that probably like picking Johnny Walker. I'm sure everybody else is going to pick Ankalaev, but that's how I see it. It's predictions. I don't want to pick all the favorite fighter, which obviously I know the betting line for this because it shows it. And right now, Islam is a minus 230. But hey, I'm going with Volkanovski. What can I say? So there you have it. There are my predictions. Tell me how crazy I am down in the comment section. I just think in the last fight, Islam didn't look that deadly as a fighter. Like, he didn't really do a lot. And maybe there was something going on with him coming into the fight. I don't know, but that's how I see it. So let me know what your opinions are in the comment section. You can roast me if you want. Make sure you hit that sub button and subscribe to the channel. Come back to the channel for my reaction. Obviously, I plan on doing my reaction to Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2 about an hour to an hour and a half after the fight's over with, unless, of course, it gets copyright striked. If that, for some reason, does happen, I'll pivot to the co-main event of the evening, Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. And if that gets copyright striked, which two of them usually doesn't happen, I guess I'll have to go to Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. But make sure you leave your opinions down in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, and JDev will return.